Oi oi, and welcome to the Orient Outlook podcast, sponsored by Carol Langley Florist, with myself, Stevenage. And as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Southdown chum, the bearded legend, the one and only, the daddy-o, it's Mr. Paul Levy.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello everybody, welcome back. This is episode 306, and as always, thanks to everyone who tuned into last week's show. This week, just one match to review. We're unaccustomed to doing one match podcast, but that is how the fixtures have fallen. And we're going to review the week that has been. So, without further ado, let's just crack on. And as always, we start with a word from our sponsors.
Yeah, we certainly do. They are Carol Langley Florists, who are an established business. They are based in Chingford and specialise in bespoke flowers, sourced from the finest growers in the world. And they can do anything from a simple thank you to tailored wedding or event packages. And they also offer 15% off to all O's fans and staff, which could give you a huge saving on your wedding and flowering costs. So if you're interested and want more details, you can get in touch with John and their fantastic team. You can call them on the phone on 0208 529 4130, and they are on social media. You can find them on Twitter at Carol Langley E4, or you can find John at Essex Biz on Twitter. They are also on Instagram. You can find them at Carol Langley Florist, and you can find the team on Facebook as well at Carol Langley Florist.
Absolutely. So, moving on then, couple of updates from the Supporters Club. Firstly, away day travel. Stevenage is our next game. That's next Saturday, the 21st of January. Coaches are going to be leaving at midday for a 3 o'clock kick-off. It's only up the road. £25 adults, 22 concessions, children travelling for £13. And coaches for Tranmere on Saturday, the 28th of January. That's an earlier start. That's 8:30 for a 3 o'clock kick-off. Cost for that one is adults are £42, £39 for concessions, children travelling for just £21, and there is a £3 surcharge for non-members, and all children must be travelling with an adult. And remember, those prices do not include your match day ticket. So you can't go into the Supporters Club now because there's no matches between now and those matches. So you need to call the travel line on 07507 539 579.
Yeah, also Supporters Club, another piece of good news is that the Starman Awards are back. So yes, we're very much looking forward to this one.
Yes.
It's always a great event. This year it will be held on Bank Holiday Monday, 1st of May at the Prince Regent Hotel, so normal venue. If you're interested, please contact LOSC Events at all.com to register your interest. That does not guarantee a ticket, as they are being given to those who were due to attend the last event and had paid their money. And obviously supporters, club members will get priority price at the moment, still to be agreed, but we expect that to be confirmed shortly and hopefully before the Stevenage game. So if you're interested, give that email address a line. It is always a fantastic event. That is LOSC Events at all.com. I think we've been to the last couple and had a great night. Obviously, fantastic. It's not happened in the last few years due to obvious reasons, but looking very much forward, hopefully, to at least a promotion party, if not a title winning one.
The last one was 2019, because 2020 was lockdown. Was the first wave of the pandemic in 2020. Of
course it
April,
was.
May. That's when everything went into shutdown.
Yes.
So
that was a great one.
this is the first one since 2019.
Okay.
So first one in 4 years. Very excited for that one. Get booking Tuesday the 2nd off because you're going to need it. The week that was then, let's catch you up on what's happened in the past 7 days. Happy Monday, the 9th of January. We start by wishing a happy 19th birthday to young O Sonny Fish.
Yeah, and also on Monday, the club announced that Dan Nkrumah would remain on loan at Welling for the remainder of the season, as rumours were starting to circulate that a host of Championship clubs were monitoring Dan as a hot prospect, and that was including Middlesbrough. Obviously,
West Brom.
More on Dan Nkrumah a bit later on in the podcast, but yeah, like amazing for Dan.
Yeah, where's this come from though? We were chatting just before we started recording it. It's like, yeah, he's a good player, but I didn't realise he was, I don't know, 5-figure, 6-figure kind of level. It's not like, he's been setting Welling on fire with that kind of thing. You just haven't really heard. He's kind of flown under the radar a little bit, but good luck to him. Always love to hear people who are going on to bigger and sort of better things. And speaking of which, the club announced that Chief Commercial Officer Mike Pink is going to be taking up the role of Chief Executive Officer at Stevenage, our League Two rivals, and that's going to be happening. His last day with us is the end of January. He'll be taking the reins up there soon after that.
Yeah, we wish Mike the best of luck. A very fleeting visit from Mike. Very good CV there, so I guess no surprise he goes to a high role at another club. So 2-8 Tuesday, then 10th of January. The day started with O's manager Richie Wellens being nominated for the League Two Manager of the month of December as part of their plug for the award. League Two said first among Wellens' achievements in East London has been the consistency he has inspired in his table-topping side. December offered another example with 8 points gained from 4 unbeaten games and no goals conceded.
Decent. The club officially announced that young centre-back Ethan Light had been signed as a future prospect. We mentioned this in last week's show as his previous club, Burnham FC, had announced it ahead of us, and Martin Ling had mentioned it in a previous interview, but the club officially announced it. So welcome officially Ethan Light.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope he has a very prosperous career at the mighty O's. Also on Tuesday, Welling United. Mentioned Welling United far too much already in this podcast.
We're not a Welling podcast.
No, they announced that the upcoming friendly against the O's, due to be played on the 11th of January, less than 24 hours away as well, had been cancelled due to, quote, unforeseen circumstances, end quote.
Yes, a certain Romeo Beckham turning out for Brentford B in the London Cup, along with Kyrie's Lisby, Kevin's son, who seems to be doing very well there. So shame about that, but or maybe it isn't. Who knows? There was one fixture in League Two on Tuesday night. Bradford had the chance to go into 4th place and cut the gap to us to 14 points. They ended up losing 2-1 at home to Rochdale, meaning that we still retained a 17-point gap ahead of 4th, 5th and 6th place in League Two. So thank you, Rochdale.
Yeah, great result for Rochdale. So let's move on into Wednesday, the 11th of January, and the club announced that Jaden Wareham had been recalled by Chelsea from his loan spell at the O's. Jaden tweeted, firstly, thank you to Leyton Orient for being so welcoming from day one. I loved every minute and learnt a lot along the way. Thanks to everyone at the club and all the fans who supported me.
Yeah, it's not a surprise really, is it? He hadn't had the match time, and to be fair, as it was so limited, it does beg the question as to why was it so limited. I mean, obviously only people that see him train and see all the players train can really properly answer that, but you know, if you're desperate for goals, why not throw the lad on and give him a chance? He seemed quite industrious in the couple of games that he did play in the EFL Cup, EFL Trophy. So probably best for all parties that he goes back and goes on somewhere else. There was a rumour that he's going to AFC Wimbledon. We'll see if that transpires by the end of the window. Hopefully not, because these things have a bad habit of coming back to bite you on the bum.
I think we all saw that one coming, especially with the return of Harry Smith. Like, I think he was going to drop down the pecking order to 5th choice striker. It seemed okay. He had a good debut against Sutton, if you remember. Scored 2 goals in that one. Not obviously set the club alight. Obviously, like you said, being rumoured he's going to AFC Wimbledon. We played him in about 3 weeks. You just know that he might make an appearance off the bench and might do something potentially in that one. We hope
not.
Doesn't, but you never know with the O's. So moving on into Thursday, the 12th of January, quiet day at the club, but not at Charlton Athletic, who signed former O and former Charlton player Macaulay Bon until the end of the season. I think it's fair to say quite a few O's fans left wondering, where are our signings? So we spoke about Macabon last week. I said I would love it to happen, but didn't think it would happen. I think Mike said he may be sniffing around Charlton as a former club. Unfortunately, are correct there. Although he's only on loan, he's only signed at Charlton until the end of the season. So hopefully, at the end of the season, we'll be a League One club as well. You never know in football, do you? If he has a very quiet spell at Charlton and they don't take him up on his offer, then he becomes a free agent and we're a League One club. I could potentially see that one happening. But I mean, that's like months away, so I guess let's talk about it then. But got on as a sub yesterday, hit the post and they scored from the rebound, and Charlton are actually doing really well now. Beat Barnsley 2-0 yesterday, good result for them. I think new manager Dean Holden's had a good start there, so I guess time will tell with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on then to Friday the 13th of January. For those who are superstitious, look away. Unfortunately, Richie Wellens did not win Manager of the Month of December, as it was announced that Stockport's Dave Challoner had won that award.
Yeah, I think the Stockport player won it as well.
He did.
At the double. So at 1 p.m, we finally announced our first capture of this transfer window, as we had signed Wales under-21 captain, 20-year-old left-sided defender Ed Turns on loan from Brighton and Hove Albion for the remainder of the season. So Ed's already played for the first team against Forest Green in the EFL Trophy in August. He's made 2 appearances for the under-21s in the Football League Trophy as well this season. Mr. Bearded Legenda, your views on Ed?
Yeah, I mean, a left-sided player, clearly the replacement we need for Happy, and I'll obviously give him all the support that he needs to settle in here and be the best that he can be, and hopefully it's a fruitful period of his career with us. It's obviously the right replacement that we need, or the right reinforcement that we need. Would I have liked a slightly more experienced person to come in? Yes, I would. Don't know anything about Ed, how well he's done, what his favourite kind of play and how he likes to. I mean, he spoke quite well on the club's official interview, but see how he goes. And obviously he did okay yesterday against Barrow, but an interesting one. I was kind of thinking and hoping that we'd go for someone a bit more experienced, but then Martin Ling on the ITV EFL show had said previously that we'd been looking at a couple of players who were in FA Cup action that had got 15 minutes. Obviously neither of them had materialised, but they were youngsters as well. So I guess the clue was in that programme that we probably wouldn't be signing a more seasoned professional.
Yeah, I mean, I think if this podcast has only taught us one thing, it's to give every player a chance, right? So we've obviously had that where we've signed players and been like, who are they? And I've turned out to be pretty decent. I think maybe like you, a little uninspiring. I think we'd heard Richie talk about 2 championship centre backs. So maybe signing
youngsters. Yeah.
A young player from Brighton, not the most inspiring move, but having not seen him play, I can't pass judgment. Maybe a little underwhelming, like you said. I think we've been linked to a few more established defenders, but obviously it hasn't paid off yet. So let's see. Obviously, we wish him all the best of luck from an Outlook podcast towels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to finish the day, National League Southside Hemel Hempstead Town announced they'd signed Youngo midfielder Matt Young on loan for the rest of this season. So we wish Matt all the very best there, and we think he's in the final year of his contract, so he's probably playing for a contract somewhere. I
imagine so. I think he signed a 1-year deal in the summer, and he's been on loan, I think, at Wildstone for the first half of the season, and obviously going on loan to a National League South side for the second half of the season, which probably tells you he's not going to be a Leyton Orient player past the summer. But we wish him the best of luck.
Which is a shame, because as you mentioned before we started recording, that he was an ever-present almost under Kenny Jackett, was a favourite
under later days,
under Kenny Jackett.
Yeah, so good luck, Matt.
And he was good, sorry. Yeah, he was
in
good.
your loan spell, absolutely. So let's go to Saturday, the 14th of January. Wish a happy 30th birthday to O's media manager, Luke Lambourne. Luke, we hope you had a lovely day. It must have been very cold where you were up in the press box yesterday, but we hope... apart from those 2 hours, you had a brilliant day.
Absolutely. The youth team was supposed to be in action against Sutton United, but due to the weather conditions, the match was postponed.
Yeah, and at 1 p.m, the club announced that Dan Nkrumah had been recalled from his loan spell at Welling due to the injury list at the O's. So obviously at this point, Richie had alluded in his post-match or his pre-match interview that he'd had difficulties, there had been injuries, it's not had been the best week. At that point we didn't know who was out, who was in, and obviously by news of recalling Nkrumah, you pretty much knew he was going to be on the bench for this one when they announced that. But for me, I'm not sure that's the right call, especially looking at the team sheet later where he's got kind of Harry Smith ahead of him, Satu's obviously starting. But lots of rumours about him, obviously like we alluded to earlier, joining the Championship club as well. So probably a very exciting time in the life of Dan Nkrumah. Obviously scores his first men's goal in football, in competitive football, last Saturday for Welling. Gets told he's going to stay at Welling, then gets recalled, and now he's been linked with like 2 fairly big Championship clubs. I think Middlesbrough were like 5th when I last looked, and West Brom were like 6th. So it's not lower end. It's top end Championship he's been linked with. So guess we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, Michael Carrick's done very well at Middlesbrough since he's gone in there. So the main event of the day was AFC Barrow at home, and as always we run a Twitter poll before the game to find out how you think we're going to get on, and after 241 votes, 9% thought we'd lose, 15% went for a draw, and an overwhelming 76% went for the win. So thanks to everyone who took a moment to cast their vote.
Yeah, absolutely. So at 2 p.m, the team was announced with Vigouroux in goal, with Tom James, Adam Thompson, Ed It's Dan Turns and
Ed.
I keep calling him Dan Turns for some reason. Ed Turns and Rob Hunt making up the back four. In the midfield, Idris El Mazzouni, Darren Pratley and George Moncur, with Paul Smith, Roy Osatoru and Charlie Kelman making up the 11. On the bench, we had Sargent, Sweeney, Brown, Clay, Duke McKenna and Nkrumah and Smith.
That side, I was just counting to make sure I've not put in too many players. That side saw new loan signing Ed Turns go straight into the starting 11. Jordan Brown dropped to the bench. Charlie Kelman and Roy Osatoru started, whilst Theo Archibald missed out for injury, as did Aaron Drinan, with Dan Nkrumah going straight onto the bench following his loan recall, as well as Harry Smith making the match day squad for the first time in a while.
Yeah, in a very long while. So for me, I kind of looked at it and I thought, defence looks alright, midfield looks alright. I looked at the Soterio and just thought, I hope he's playing in the middle, because I think we've said it, or I've said it numerous times on this podcast, when you play him on the left or the right, you're not getting the same Soterio, and he seems to get the best out of him as an impact sub.
Yeah,
I think so. Not surprised to see Soterio starting, but a bit concerned as to where he'd be playing. And I know Richie obviously said Jordan Brown wouldn't be playing in this one, or he didn't want to play him, but I think Jordan Brown can feel very hard done by not to be starting this one.
Agree.
Really at the expense of
Ed
Turns, who's come in like on the Thursday or Friday and gone straight in there. So, yeah. But other than that, strong lineup. Few attacking options on the bench actually. You go Smith, Harry Smith, a lot to prove, and Nkrumah obviously had a great loan spot well in, and Duke McKenna, who in the little cameos that we've seen of him has looked decent. So you looked at the bench, actually there's a few little impetus moments there.
So instead of playing Ruel or Kelman out on the left, would you be more inclined to go with Duke McKenna?
Possibly, yeah.
If I think you were the manager,
I think that might have been a better,
more natural,
a better fit. Or go 4-4-2 and have Duke McKenna on one side of the pitch and have Paul Smith on the other side and place you up front with Kelman. Maybe,
yeah,
but I guess you might be isolating Paul Smith to a certain extent from his most effective role. So, but you still look outside and go, you've still probably got enough within that side to beat Barrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's your first choice midfield three, which would have been amazing. You still got Viggs in goal. And you still got Hunt and James as your fullbacks, were your first choice two fullbacks, and Thompson was great previous Saturday, and Kelman's been alright. So look at it and go, probably not the best lineup, but enough to see.
It's strong enough.
Yeah,
it's strong enough. I'm worried for Theo. I hope it's not long term. Well, it must be serious if we've had to recall Dan and Nkrumah, considering who we've got available.
I think that possibly is more Drinan than Theo. I think, but again, I don't know where Wellens thinks the best place for Nkrumah to. I'm not saying Nkrumah enough to go right. Is he most effective as a forward, or is it as a winger in Smith or Theo's position? I've literally got no idea.
We have Ant Giorgio in our ranks, and he's obviously not been anywhere near the squad. So I think you can kind of read into that what you will. But then he was on loan since last February and signed in the summer, so it's the longest trial that you've ever had. And then he's signed and he's been banished, which is a bit odd to me. And I ended by noting, let's hope Moncur's performance is better, as it really needs to be, and obviously no Drinan either.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of players missing. Lots of views came in when the team was announced. I guess unsurprisingly, El Kawado started off by saying, I can't personally fathom how Brown isn't somewhere in that starting 11.
Ross McCaff said, surprised to see Brown dropped, but Richie did say Barrow's attack is a very different threat. Nkrumah, emergency recall, isn't a great sign. We need more bodies in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, good point there from Ross. Gorillas at 1985. So Moncur needs to be back to his best. I know Brown and him are different players, but would have El Miz pushed forward and Brown on instead. Welcome back Harry Smith and Nkrumah.
It's a fair point. You could have taken Moncur out because El Mazzouni can play as a 4 or an 8. He can push up. So that wouldn't have been a bad option. Phil VZ1 said Richie has really shaken it up again. Don't know the extent of the knocks and heavy legs, so happy to believe in the boss.
Yeah, so the match kicked off at a wet, windy Brisbane road with the O's looking to pull away at the top of League Two against surprise playoff contenders Barrow, who started the day in 6th place. Fair play to Barrow. Done very well this season, considering they looked set to get relegated last season. And Phil Brown, if you remember, managed to keep them up, and they went for, I think, the Halifax manager, who's done a great job with them this season. So fair play to them.
But weren't they second when we played them away?
Yeah.
And then they dropped to 10th not long after that, and then they bounced back up to 6th. So they're clearly doing something right there. 4 minutes on the clock then, Lawrence Vigouroux collected the ball and set Paul Smith on his way. Farman sliced his clearance as he rushed out. Ruel Sotiriou tried to take it on the half volley as he saw Farman quite a way off his line, but that was taken off his toe.
Certainly was. 6 minutes in, Lawrence Vigouroux had us all gasping in the south stand as a Whitfield cross came in and he spilled it, and he's lucky the pitch was boggy because the ball kind of gets stuck behind him, but for a second there it looked like it was going in. We managed to clear the danger, but a bit of nervousness I think in the first 10 minutes. It was really odd. Barrow obviously had a game plan to get in our faces. Literally, you could see them on off, get in the faces, get the ball wide, and at every opportunity, cross the ball into the box and look for their two centre forwards. A very simple, basic game plan, but working and very clear. And like I said, Vigouroux spills the ball, which is really uncharacteristic of Vigouroux in the south stand. You're like.
I find it quite difficult to keep swallowing this, that teams are coming at us and starting stronger. And I'm sure I said it last week or the week before, and I said that something along the lines of like, we have got to start like how other teams are starting with us, getting in their faces, taking our game to them and just doing the dirty stuff well, and we just don't seem to be doing that. We seem to be sitting back and letting them impose themselves on us. That's never how we won games, and we got to the top of League Two by imposing our games first, not letting opponents take their game to us. And it just seems that we haven't got out of this way of playing, and it's a bit of a rut that we need to extinguish, because it can't go on if we're to carry on if we're to carry on and be promoted out of this league. It's not how you win a league, is allowing teams to come onto you.
That's a good point, and I also think, and we discussed this briefly last week, that it's been mentioned a couple of times by Richie and the board that the crowd are quiet. I think that's a direct correspondence of us starting so slowly in games.
Yeah.
Because when we get there, when the team come out, everyone sings Super, Richie Wellens, it's all Orient, the normal songs. But because we're so nervous on the pitch in the first 5-10 minutes and it's so slow and we're not the first to impose ourselves, the crowd get nervous, get quiet, and it just settles into a quiet zone. So I think that has an impact on us as fans watching it. But I can't complain too much because obviously we sit top of the league. But I think that does have a direct impact. I felt that yesterday where it was fairly loud when I got into the south stand and everyone was quite happy. And Vigouroux spills the ball and they put us under pressure and it's windy and it's horrible, and there's a 20-year-old defender making his debut who doesn't look as classy on the ball as a Dan Happy, so to speak, and everyone's a bit nervous about it, and it just puts you on ease. And
it's a real chicken and egg situation, is because the crowd will feel buoyed by what they see on the pitch, and what they see on the pitch will be buoyed by what they hear from the crowd.
Of course,
And if one or the other doesn't deliver something, then it's just everyone's just like meh. 10 minutes then on the clock, Alan Thompson made a superb tackle on the edge of the box as Barrow had worked a promising opportunity.
That was a brilliant tackle. Had he been 1 second out, it's a penalty. All that, he got it spot on. Fantastic, Adam Thompson, done really well there. 17th minute in, from a corner, Barrow had the ball in the back of the net, but Waters was well offside. The whistle went well before the ball was in the net. But Barrow started trying much better than us. Much better game plan, getting the ball up the pitch quicker. We were passing it around, getting a bit of the ball, but it wasn't going forward. And you could already tell that Royal, who had started on the left side, and Portsmouth had been moved to the right side with Calvin in the middle, they just weren't getting the ball. And again, I guess it comes back to that argument of your strikers aren't good enough. Well, Kelman wasn't feeding off anything. The ball just was not getting into Kelman, like, at all, because we just weren't getting it up there quick enough. But,
Yeah, and that is endemic. Then shortly after, we almost got the opening goal of the game as a lovely ball was floated over the top from Darren Pratley into the path of Royal, who caught it on the volley, but Farman managed to push it clear.
Decent effort, good save there by Farman. Strong hands pushed it away. In the 22nd minute, Ed Turns, who had been in the action a little bit, he had a shot over the bar for a corner which was well over, and he was booked for a challenge on Gordon. It seemed a little harsh, that booking, actually. First one of the game didn't seem particularly malicious, but the ref pulled out his yellow card straight away. But I say Ed, certainly in the thick of it. They obviously were targeting Ed a little bit. He was seeing quite a lot of the ball. Some of his passes were good, some not so good, I guess, as you would expect. But he was doing all right early on.
Good to hear. Paul Smith tried his luck on the half-hour mark with a wicked shot at goal. From a good 25 yards out, Farman punched that clear, and Barrow eventually managed to clear the danger.
Yeah, 2 minutes later, Darren Pratley won a free kick about 20 to 25 yards out. Tom James took it. Him and Monco were both looking at it, and I thought, maybe Monco might fancy this one. Tom James took it in the end, hit it. The ball was dipping in the wind again. Farman, strong hands, punched the ball clear, and the chance was gone.
Yeah, fast forward 10 minutes to the 42nd minute, randomly, not football related, but
Yeah.
Fox ran onto the pitch, ran the 100-metre dash at lightning pace, hurdled over the advertising hoardings and went out. I heard he crashed into the... I wasn't there, so did he crash into the advertising hoardings?
It wasn't down our end. It was so fast, if you blinked, you would have missed it. But it obviously caught the crowd's attention.
Yeah.
So dirty little fox.
So it's parakeets one week, foxes the next. We've got literally, it's like living in a wildlife park.
It's like Noah's Ark on a Brisbane Road pitch. So the referee awarded 1 minute of additional time. There was a penalty appeal for Barrow for a foul on Tyrell Warren whilst trying to go for a header at the back post, all from a corner that wasn't a corner. It was really funny. I think Hunt let the ball roll out, literally wasn't under pressure, let it roll out, and the ref pointed to the corner spot. There was a few things with the ref in that first half where it was questionable decisions that went against us. You could probably tell at the south stand, and the entire ground weren't best pleased. But yeah, penalty appeals there for Barrow, waved away as the teams went in goalless at half time. Bit of a painful first half, that one. It was just a bit meh, just a bit uninspiring, a bit cold, a bit wet, a bit quiet, not much going on in the pitch. We didn't look like we were going to score, not been great. Formation hadn't really worked. We couldn't really get the ball up the pitch. They were keeping Paul Smith really quiet. We looked a bit lost without Theo. It's one of those games where you're thinking, unless Smith's going to do a 40-yarder into the top bins, but you're not quite sure how we're going to put the ball in the net.
Can't rely on that. You can't expect that every week for him to deliver that. Peter Foreman too tweeted us at half time. He said, Wellens' half time message should be simple. If you can see the goal, then shoot. Neither keeper has caught the ball cleanly yet. Shoot, on target and follow up.
Yeah, fair play. That's not a bad point there. Kid Sampson said pitching conditions aren't conducive to good football, but we're still knocking it about like it's August. Fully respect Wellens' principles, but wouldn't be displeased to see the prodigal giraffe come on us play a bit more percentage football. It's obviously alluding to Harry Smith there. I hadn't read that before. That's a funny tweet. Well played.
The attendance was announced at 7,755. We think there was a couple of hundred away fans in that number as well, so fair play to them. That is one of their longest journeys of the season as well.
East Stand looked packed. It looked absolutely rammed in there. Yeah. South felt really busy. West looked really busy. North Stand, again, gaps of empty seats in there. I guess it's one for Mark and the board to have a look at, because there must be a number of season ticket holders who just aren't going to a huge amount of games on the pricing. Potentially really obvious though when you can see all the empty seats from where it was. So the second half kicked off, no subs for the O's, and this half started with a bit more intent than the first. We came out, looked a bit more sharper. He'd obviously said get the ball to Paul Smith as fast as you can at half time, because he was getting a lot more involved in it. And in the 49th minute, Paul Smith won a free kick that came to nothing, and in the 50th minute Tom James tried to catch Farman off his line with a left-foot strike, but Farman easily caught the ball.
53 minutes on the clock now. Another Barrow corner ended up in the goal, but again, this one was ruled out. This time for a foul on Adam Thompson, as the referee's whistle went well before the effort went in.
Yeah, absolutely did. 55th minute in, O's penalty shouts were waved away after Charlie Kalman looked to have been brought down in the box after he showed his defender a dummy. Looked like he was brought down, actually. I've seen it before on the highlights. Obviously, we don't get the best angles on the highlights or the ITV show. I've seen them given before. Looked a bit harsh for it not to be given there.
Seen them given, seen them not given. It's just the inconsistencies of refereeing, isn't it? Yeah. Double sub for the O's next up in the 64th minute. Darren Pratley, George Moncur made way for Jordan Brown and Stephen Duke McKenna.
Right subs. When you saw who was coming on, you're like, right, Pratley looks knackered. He's been a bit sloppy. Pratley's had an amazing season and he's due a game of sloppiness and tiredness. No qualms there. Moncur looked alright. Moncur will show you beautiful little touches and stuff, but there's no end product at the moment. He hasn't got an end product. Yeah. Amazing footwork, but obviously gets an opening, and then drags it back again. And you're like, by the time he drags it back again, the chance for the opening is gone. He's got to play it backwards or sideways again. So the right subs there.
Flatters to deceive.
At the moment, but hopefully he'll come good. Still a lot of games to be played there, and he's obviously a big player for us. 65 minutes and a big chance for the O's as Charlie Kalman finally got in behind the Barrow defence. He took it wide of Paul Farman, who rushed out of his goal to make a save and after which he needed attention from the bench. I think the ball just smacked him in the face. He was out of it for about 2 or 3 minutes. Good, as it should do for making a save from Charlie Kelman.
Orient under pressure in the 70th minute as Whitfield's shot was blocked.
Yeah, they were still coming at us, Barrow, to be fair. We were having most of the ball, but Barrow was still looking to get the goal. 74th minute, strong defending by Patrick Brow. Saw him beat Paul Smith to the ball inside the Barrow box. Vigouroux got it, launched it, and it was a one-on-one race with Paul Smith and his big number 6, I think it was. And we've seen Smith win those a lot of times, but Brow done well, stood his ground and managed to get the ball clear.
Yeah, fair enough. Another double change for the O's as Craig Clay and Harry Smith came on to replace Charlie Kelman and Idris El Mazouni in the 75th.
Yeah, certainly did. 80th minute in, another penalty shout was waved away after Ruel Satoru turned his man. He went down in the box. Referee didn't give that one. Looks like Ruel might have gone down a bit easily.
Yeah.
But again, seeing those given in certain games.
Absolutely. A minute later, Harry Smith went close to opening the scoring as Ruel put in a fantastic cross into the box from the right-hand side, but his header went just over the bar.
That was his moment.
Yeah.
That was his perfect moment.
You'd argue slightly it's not come at the perfect height and he's kind of leaning back a little bit to try and get it, but...
Jumps too early for it. Jumped too early, headed it too early. If he heads it like a second later, he probably manages to dink it over Farman, but it didn't really look that close where we were. It looked a bit closer on the telly. Maybe a Harry Smith who's played 25 league games this season probably might be bread and butter for him, like a
first half of last
sharper
season.
Player, but yeah, over the bar. 87th minute in, substitute Duke McKenna went down and he was unable to continue, so he came off and was replaced by Jaden Sweeney.
Oh, how's your luck? You get an opportunity and then you get injured. Such is football, I guess. 5 minutes of time were added on. Tom James was shown 2 yellow cards in 4 minutes. The first one was for a handball and the second one was for a foul. He was then given his marching orders. He's now on 7 yellow cards, but that doesn't impact him. Only the fact that he was given a red card was because now you go 10 games in 32 matches. Sorry, 10 cards by game week 32.
The second yellow, obviously he's taken one for the team. It's like 92nd minute. Dean Gordon is running away from him almost. He had to bring him down, had to do it, but yeah, second yellow obviously puts us down to 10 men. I think more importantly, he'll obviously come on to makes himself unavailable for next Saturday. At that point, you were just mate, ref, just blow the whistle. Let's just have this one done. Nothing else to talk about. The ref blew the full-time whistle as the depleted O's had to settle for a point, but did equal a club football league record, recording 8 consecutive home clean sheets. I think that's massively gone under the radar. Last time this has been achieved was in the 1923/24 season.
What an amazing feat that is. What an amazing feat to go nearly 100 years, 99 years, holding that record.
Yeah.
For it now to just be broken. Unbelievable. Fair play.
Yeah, if you can't score, make sure you don't concede.
Concede and then you don't lose the game. That's absolutely right. So, Dave Victor speaks to Richie Wellens after the game, and we are very fortunate enough to be sent that recording. Just under 6 minutes. Richie, very, very honest as you'll hear. So this is Richie Wellens in conversation with Dave Victor.
Richie, thanks for joining us. It's a tough afternoon, and of course Tom James will now miss Stevenage.
I mean, Tom James' performance up lethargic, no intensity, give the ball away numerous times. So, you know, if you never get out of that lethargicness, then, you know, he gets sent off. So, no problem with that. I think the referee had a good game. But we wasn't bright enough. We played too slow. We played across the back too slow. Everything that we worked on, we just wasn't crisp enough. We didn't deserve to win the game. I don't think we give a chance away. So defensive, we was okay, even though that's the most that I've seen us on the stretch. In terms of when we've had our clean sheets, we've been really, really comfortable. Today was a little bit too many last gasp things for me, too open as a team. So when you turn up and you've got a lot of. I thought Rob Hunt was our best player. But when you turn up and you've got 5 or 6 players underperforming, then a clean sheet and a point, you have to take it and you move on.
1 goal conceded in 5, but only 1 goal scored in those 5 as well.
And it's a worry, you know. And we've got excuses in them 5 games, which I don't like to use. But there has been injuries, you know. Thursday we lose Theo. Wednesday we lose Drinnen. So we're having to change quite a lot. I mean, you look at the team at the end. We're putting Sweeney's left wing, and is a bit disjointed, but we dug in, we got a point. Yeah, we need more firepower. Not necessarily the strikers. People always go, you're not scoring any strikers. We don't pass the ball to the right side of people at times. We don't get into pockets quick enough. We wanted to make their forwards jump today, and we never done that because we're in the wrong position. So sometimes it's not necessarily the striker that's not good enough because he's not getting chances. We need to be better at giving. So I think we need a striker. I think now Duke will miss games. We don't know what's happening with Theo. I'm going to try and get a winger stroke 10 in this week. So yeah, I'm happy with a point because of the performance, but you know the team that finished is a shadow of where we've been this year.
You have brought in one player, Ed Turns, making his debut.
Yeah, I think at times he's done okay. He looked a little bit nervy, which is understandable for a young boy making his debut, and a big game at that. I think he grew into the game, and from here on he'll only get better. He'll grow and he'll get better.
Both sides have penalty shouts.
Yeah, I mean I can't remember what their penalty shout was for, but I think ours was, you know what, if you get them you're probably lucky. I thought the referee done okay.
So what about those injuries? Too early, as you say, for Duke McKenna and Theo?
Yeah, Duke McKenna's too early. Theo gave us a text Thursday night saying he was walking down the stairs and he felt his calf. So didn't train Friday. He's obviously out. We don't know how long for yet. Drinan has got a problem, which 3 to 4 weeks. And then there's one more. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But obviously, Beckles will be back in 2 again. So we just need to get through the Stevenage game, and then we'll have bodies in. I'm going to try my best to get. You know, I've kept my powder dry a little bit, but this week we definitely need 2. I would like 3.
So it was a timely return under the circumstances for Harry Smith. He got a warm reception from the faithful.
Yeah, and I think it's a reward for his performances last year that the crowd take to him. And I've always said he's a great option to have. I've never wanted to lose him, but when somebody wants to leave the club because he wants regular football, then it's a really difficult decision for me to make. So we decided that it was good enough to go with Kelman, Wareham and Drinan, and that proved we picked up an unbelievable amount of points for the games that we played, and the work rate of them lads was terrific. Harry comes back and gives us an option. He's trained well in the last 3 to 4 weeks, so he's another option.
So it could be as many as 3 before that game to...
I hope so. I think we need to... You know, I'm watching a lot of other clubs who are nowhere near as good position as and making a lot of signings. There's a lot of activity early on in this window. So I just think when we're putting screens on left wing, our options are pretty thin. On, you know, I have to admit, with 10 minutes ago, I wanted to win the game, but I had no substitutions to real go and attack them. So we need a couple of...
But I suppose Stevenage dropped points and another defeat for Northampton.
But it's a league season, you know, so that point is another point to where we want to get to. And Stevenage will face tough opponents, and Northampton will face... It's a tough league. And what we've got is we've got a group of probably 4 or 5. You look at Stockport, you look at Wimbledon, you look at Tranmere, you look at, you know, Swindon of Charlie Austin. So all that group, you know, will get stronger throughout the season. You look at the signings that Gillingham and Colchester are making, the money that they're throwing around. So I actually think that them teams now will make up points on a lot of the teams in and around the playoffs. So it'll get squashed up in that area, I think. We need to concentrate ourselves, and we need a little bit more creativity, a bit more quality. Didn't think we got the ball to Paul Smith enough today, who looked lively when he got it. We turned down crosses in a box. We were just too slow. And again, you get games like that. The pitch at the moment is obviously struggling. I would imagine there's a lot of pitches around the country that there's some games off. So that we've had a lot of water. So the groundsman's done well to get it on, but it is not as quick as what we used to.
Thanks, Richie.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, as always, Dave, for sending that across to us. But if nothing, he's honest.
Very honest.
And fair at times. Heavily critical, obviously, at the outset of Tom James's performance, but you know, quite fair on what he's saying about the rest of the squad. And he's right. You know, other clubs are making signings.
Yeah, keeping his powder dry, I think.
A bit telling, that, isn't it?
Raised my eyebrows a little bit. But look, he says he wants 2 to 3 in this week. I think everyone saw the game yesterday. knows we need more attacking options. Defence is fine, taking care of itself. Beckles is almost off the back of his suspension.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see who we sign. He's right about Colchester signing. Was it Matt J from Exeter? Great signing.
Yeah.
I would have had Matt J at Orient. You know, even clubs like Gillingham signing Tom Nicol. There's some good little players floating around. Some you wouldn't touch with a barge pole, obviously, but some clubs are making some decent signings. So let's trust in, you know, the transfer committee, if that's what we're still calling them. And we've obviously had numerous board members on here numerous times talk about the transfer committee. But, you know, it's only the 15th of January. We don't play now until the 21st of January. It's 6 days to get your business done. I imagine tomorrow morning at 5:30 in the morning, where they have their meetings or their conference calls, like with no Nigel and Ken like do early calls, there'll be names floating around and there'll be targets. Hopefully they go and get their first choices and players who can make Leyton Orient better. There's no point in signing people for the sake of signing people. They got to sign players who make Leyton Orient better. But I think, you know, as a starting point, we need like a number 10/winger, like someone to create. It's no good signing a great centre forward, because the problem has been for the last couple of games, they're not getting the chances. Apart from Harry Smith's heading over the bar yesterday, there wasn't any conventional chance for like a number 9.
And ironically, that was set up by a striker.
Yeah, it was. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we're getting some good players of at least League One quality for the Stevenage game. You know, someone who I keep looking at is Jack Marriott. Been told he can leave Peterborough. For me, that's like a no-brainer. Someone who's been at a League One club is obviously going to have to come down to League Two. Why not Orient? Something like that. I think that's a much more realistic target than say a Macaulay Bond. I'll take him in a heartbeat. And in terms of established playmakers, I'm sure, you know, there's not one I can think of, but I'm not a football scout. I'm sure Steve Foster has a list of names in Championship clubs, League One clubs, of playmakers, wingers, players who could get the Orient crowd off their feet and to get chances for us. So hopefully, you know, they go out to all these football clubs all year, Steve Foster and his coaching, scouting team. They'll have names. Hopefully they get who they want and hopefully get a new bit of blood injected. Stockport made some great signings. Stevenage have been fairly busy already in this window. Northampton will obviously make signings because they're not doing very well at the moment. Like I said, Colchester, Gillingham throwing decent bits of money around. So
they've
very
gone
interesting.
They've got the chequebook out and done their business early because they want to improve their position as soon as possible. We're not in that position, but by the same token, we've got this rolling list of people that we're constantly watching. I know we've had to shift our priorities now that we've lost 2 first choice centre backs. Completely on board with that, but surely that doesn't stop us from getting other players in on positions that we clearly need. Obviously now we don't exactly know how long Theo's out for. Could be 2 or 3 weeks, could be a month, could be 2 months. You just don't know. So I guess there's a bit of frustration that we haven't done business now that we sit here recording on the 15th of January. But by the same token, it's probably good that we've not eaten into the budget, because now we've got players that we might need to replace on loan for a little while.
Well, we said, I think a telling point there, he goes, Trinan was injured on Wednesday. Well, you're given a post-match on Saturday, and all right, it's not all week, but you've had Thursday, Friday to go, right, who are our backup strikers who we're looking at? What are the names? Could you not have bought another striker in if that was the plan? You've obviously given Warren back to Chelsea. Theo feels his calf go on Thursday after training, but you've still got Friday to start making inquiries. If it's me,
Things don't happen that quick though, do they?
No, but they'll have lists of names for every position. So you go, Theo, right? Theo phones you on Thursday and goes, boss, I've done my calf. I'm done for like 2 or 3 weeks, whatever, however long he's out for. Surely on that Thursday you go, right winger or right forward, priority now. Who's on our list? Who's available? Who's a realistic option for us to start inquiring about? Which they might be doing now behind closed doors. They might be ready to offer.
I'm sure they have.
Sure they have. But it's hopefully those conversations have already taken place and they all go in tomorrow. The committee or whoever decides, Ling and Wellens, it goes, right, this is our priority, these are the 2 names we want, let's go and get them 2 or 3 names we want. Not get to Thursday with nothing announced. Because as you'll see on our timeline when we go through this week, people are already getting jittery about it. And again, we keep talking about complacency, don't we? Well, we're still top. Still top by 5 points. There's only 20 games of the season left.
15 ahead of 4, yeah.
But at some point,
that's going to switch.
Need to reinvigorate the teams. And one of our negatives of the week is the injury list. Injury list at the moment. Dan Happy, Tom James suspended, Omar Beckles suspended, Theo Archibald out.
Aaron
Drinen out. Moncur not 100%. Some big names who aren't 100, who are missing. Some big names who've had a very good season for us. So
that's right.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed. So the league table.
Well, we're still top, so it's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
worry.
So
Relax.
that draw and that point means we are
Calm
still
down.
top of the league. Play 26, won 17, drawn 6 now, lost 3, goal difference is 23 and 57 points. Stevenage drew away to Harrogate yesterday, so that gap is still 5 points. Carlisle won, so the gap to 4th place has been cut to 15 points. They do have a game in hand over us, so they could get it to 12 points, but a goal difference is so superior. Let's just call it 13 points.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Your views?
My views on yesterday. I guess that the positive is that it's a point, and it's a point closer to us going up. So that's the biggest thing that I've taken from yesterday. Fortunately, others around us, as you mentioned, also dropped points. Stevenage drew, Northampton lost, so we've had a bit of luck on our side there. But if we'd have won a couple of our last games, we'd be more points clear at the top. It'd be more comfortable, and I think people would be less jittery. We're still 15 points clear of Carlisle. It's a real concern for a lot of people, myself included, that the goals have dried up. Great that we've kept the clean sheets, but we've not been able to at home, but not been able to capitalise by not scoring goals. There's a lot. Yesterday, I caught some of the stream. A lot of back and sideways passing. We looked laboured at times. The lack of movement up front meant they had to go back and side because they didn't want to turn over possession, and we're not creating enough because of it. Or we get to a certain point and turn back because for whatever reason, it's just baffling. It really is. Thankfully, we were able to keep the clean sheets to compensate for not scoring, so we're not losing games. But this dip in performance is a massive concern. I expected our senior and experienced players to be dominating these games, grabbing the games by the scruff of the neck, dragging us up the pitch. The Moncurs, the Prattleys. I know Prattleys done well, and I hate to dig him out because he has done well. But we've got enough quality, championship arguably quality, or former championship quality. You can't just rely on Paul Smith every game to score a worldie, or Theo to score a 30-yard volley once he's controlled it on his thigh and have that reverberating around the internet on Sky Sports and everybody else, which is great that he's got the attention, but we can't expect that all the time. You just can't. So people have to step up. I remember Russell Slade said to us when we interviewed him, he said, you can afford to have 2 or 3 not at 100% as long as the other 8 or 9 were at 100%. But like from yesterday, it was just maybe 5 or 6 just not at it and just not doing well enough. A lot of people saying we need a striker. It's this argument again. I genuinely don't think we need a striker. I maintain that we don't need one. We just need to get service and supply to the ones we already have. Maybe it's just the formation and the setup that doesn't suit. Losing Theo, losing Aaron Drinnen, and obviously as we've heard, Tom James, who's now suspended for a game. Taking everything into account, I can't help but feel it's a bit of a mini crisis coming up, or that we're in, with all the injuries, suspensions, the dip in form. The major positive is we're still top. We're not losing games somehow. It just shows you the quality of our league that we're in. And just as a final from me, made aware that we had a couple of fans, free fans, who came all the way over from Belgrade in Serbia. So welcome to Noah, I hope I pronounced that right, David and Daniel. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's game, although by the sounds of it, it probably wasn't the one that will live long in your memory. But good to have you wherever you are internationally. Thanks for listening.
Great stuff. Well picked up on. Good points there. Mini crisis is a very interesting one. I think that's one for a soundbite tomorrow to get some engagement.
Oh God! Don't at us.
So for me, I didn't really enjoy this game. It's one of the only games this season I haven't sat back and really enjoyed. But I will say though, it's important when you don't play well enough to win, you don't lose. And we didn't lose. It could have been much worse. Barrow, good team, clear game plan. They might be around the playoffs come the end of the season. Going forward though, we just looked lost, like devoid of ideas. It's like you said, Paul Smith can't score worldies every week. Theo Archibald can't do those lobs every week. And the goal just looked like it was never coming. On the positive side though, Adam Thompson, exceptional. The guy's not played football for like months. He's kept 2 clean sheets in the 180 minutes of football, has been our rock at the back. Absolutely brilliant. Well done, Adam Thompson. Ed Turns, I think Richie summed up really well. Looked nervy, grew into the game. Will be all right. I'm a bit on the fence about playing him next Saturday in his first men's away game at top of the table clash against Stevenage, who've got some big old boys who will come up from corners like Roberts, Piergiani, Sweeney. However, I think we're going to have to play him due to Tom James getting sent off.
Yeah.
I thought Rob Hunt was fantastic, goes under the radar a lot. Richie said he was our best player yesterday. I'd say he was definitely up there, really good. Tom James will be gutted, but he'd done what he had to do. Idris and Prattley, I think I said it, slightly off the mark, but they're due a game where they are going to be slightly off the mark, unlike in the season. Moncur, only got an hour out of him again. I think we've got a few tweets saying he's not done a 90 in ages.
But why play him? Why not give Duke McKenna the start
Yeah.
then and rest him and give him half an hour, and maybe when the others are tiring that he gets that half an hour where he's prime?
Yeah, fair shout.
I don't I'd love for Richie or Paul or Matt Howard to explain why this guy who's been ill and seems to be a little bit overweight, if we're being critical.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the only one that thinks that. That he looks a little like he's carrying a bit of timber.
Okay.
He doesn't look fully fit. He's been ill. He's had his wisdom teeth, and then he was ill over Christmas, and blah 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 blah. Why play the guy? Maybe he just needs a rest.
Yeah.
Just give the guy the rest that he needs, so that we're not criticising him every week for looking lethargic and not at it.
Okay, fair shout there. I thought Harry Smith lifted the crowd. Who would have thought we'd be saying that a couple of weeks ago? Harry Smith lifted the crowd. Maybe should have done better with his chant. Like you, lots of talk about signing a number 9. But I agree with you. That's not the problem. The problem is getting the chances to be created. Look, a bit of a difficult patch. We've got Super Richie Wellens. We'll be all right. Again, I'm impressed with his post-match interview. Kent's over. We know when Kent Teague is over, business gets done. So come on, Kent. Let's see your business. We'll be all right. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. So those were our views. We had lots and lots of your views. A huge amount of feedback came in after this match. Thanks to everyone who sends us all their views. We really appreciate them. And just because we read them, it doesn't mean we agree with them. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
The Dorset Viking kicks off this week, says creative sparks completely gone. One goal in 5 games is worrying. We need to bring some firepower in this week before the next game, which is huge.
Good point, Boats. He says, frustrating afternoon capped by a silly red card for Tom. We are missing key players, but should have enough to win. Ed Turns and Tom looked great. The positive is that we have a week to prepare for the Stevenage game, which could be a vital one, and another clean sheet.
Brand Rucker SC said 2 yellows in 5 minutes from a seasoned player is hard to understand. One of the positive notes, though, is it's good to see Harry Smith back. He looks like he's ready to play.
He did, yeah. Maybe a bit too desperate at times, like lunging for balls where you're just like, mate, just calm down, just play, do what you normally do, don't get too desperate. There's a few where you just maybe a bit of match unsharpness and just a bit eager to do things a bit too early. Like with a header, goes up a bit too early for it. Just calm down, but he'll be right. Freddie Nathan said, draw is a fair result. Barrow, decent side. Thompson was immense. Brown will have to go to right back at Stevenage, which isn't the end of the world. Lucky results, went our way, but we need 2 players this week. Central midfielder and a striker. Probably agree with that.
Yeah, Techno Trouser said, a very scrappy performance where we were really lacking ideas and creativity in the final third. For a team at the top, you would expect more. More ideas, more movement, more chances, more shots against the patchy keeper. I think that sums it up perfectly. Defensively, very sound, but overall should do better.
Yeah.
Great tweet.
Great tweet there. Dan Alton 2590 says, more than a fair result. Barrow, good side, deserved their point. No real harm done in terms of the promotion race. You're never going to win every week, but we miss Theo badly. And losing James right at the end is massive. Whoever booed Moncur in the Tommy Johnson stand, stay at home. I must confess, I didn't hear any boos for Moncur, but I think a few people had tweeted about that. I do agree about missing Theo badly. Like the balance up front. Take Theo out or Paul Smith out, and it just looks so unbalanced.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when you have to change formation.
I also don't agree with booing your own players.
Never.
Ryan Peanut said, keep signing kids and ended up with the team from last season. Last 4 games have been dull and boring, relying on bits of magic. The only positive is another clean sheet.
Yeah, so for _Rosie_TFB said, I think that's an old Twitter handle that's come back. I'm not sure. I'm very concerned now about not scoring. Seem to be really struggling to create chances. Hoping we sign a forward soon.
The one Adam Conway said, extremely poor and a huge lack of quality. We can't rely on worldies every week. Teams behind are strengthening and we're dragging our heels as per usual.
Yeah, on the money there. Free Elliott said, Kelman, Drynan, Smith, all non-league players at best, desperate for a striker. Very harsh.
M8XYL said results at the top went our way, so not panicking. A forward or creative player must come in this week though. Nice to see Smith back and a glimpse of what he can offer late on as an impact player. Early in the season that game would have gone our way. Reassuring we didn't lose or concede.
It's a good point. I think early in the season we sneaked that 1-0. Yeah, good point. Orient meet Pius and impressed with the defence against a good side. Full turn settled in and had a good game alongside Thompson. Smith looked lost without Archibald in the side, taking attention away. Going forward, we were pretty clueless without Theo. Satorio gave us nothing, I'm afraid.
To your point earlier, though, probably played not in his best position where you're not going to get the
not
most
in his best position, and I think now we've got two really good impact subs in Harry Smith and Rell. Offer you something different. I'd be cagey about starting both at the moment.
Yeah.
Richie can only work with what he's got, though.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our Coral 1972 said 1 goal in 5 games is a massive worry. If another striker isn't brought in this week, then questions need to be asked of this so-called committee. Improve the squad for the final push. Don't bring in kids. Listening to Wellens after the game, he's putting on notice. Wants a forward, a winger or number 10 and possibly a third player this week. Let's see if he gets backed by the board.
Yep, Casey Adams, LOFC, said Barrow are a good side, defensively solid. Stevenage and Northampton are dropping points as well, and it feels like we need another striker. I also don't know what Duke McKenna brings to the team, and as I left today, fan said, how did Thompson get man of the match? It's actually mental how we all see the game. So it's all about different viewpoints, different opinions, though I must say I thought Thompson was quality, so there you go.
There you go, absolutely. It does make me laugh though how people watch the same thing and take something completely different from it. But that's what it's about. Theo_James tweeted and said #frustrating. The weather played a massive factor in the first half. James had a poor game throughout. What does Ruel actually offer the team? And the second half, we looked blunt going forward with little to no idea to get a goal. Disappointed and a missed opportunity.
Yeah, good tweet there. John W999 said Newport aside, we've been playing the better teams in the league. Playing okay, not conceding, and I'll take that. If this is our sticky patch, then we'll be fine. The defensive record at home is unreal.
Richie J. Bourne said the midfield lacked the creativity and pace today. Bless you. Theo was missed. Thompson deserved man of the match and Barrow deserved the point. Still would say we need a midfielder and a forward very soon, please. Still in full control of the league.
Absolutely are. 5 points clear with 20 games left. Might as well make it 6 clear because of goal difference. We are absolutely in control of our own destiny. Yeah. Painting Orient to the win and a draw against such a side isn't a bad return in this season. Tomo's imperious contribution is vital when most of those near to us are also drawing or losing.
Yeah, very poor throughout, thought Orient_Ed. Thought Ed Turns looked fine if not spectacular. Thompson solid and Big Smith done okay. However, another poor game from Moncur and we look completely blunt in attack. Must be better.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Samuel LOFC 97 says 8 clean sheets in a row at home is pleasing. Thompson is outstanding. Shame to lose James considering we are short, but another opportunity for Sweeney to stake his case. Second half of the season was always going to be tougher than the first, and we've still got a nice lead after today's results.
Yeah, Stroud Greeno said 0-0 was the right result. We lack quality going forward, but considering our injury issues, to bounce back from the Northampton disappointment, 4 points from 2 games against decent opposition is a return we should be happy with.
Yeah, good way of looking at it there. Record blew up, so don't think we were too bad, but the game wasn't great. Shame to lose James for next week, but I think we have decent cover in Brown. I do feel like we're not doing enough in midfield at the moment.
Tom Davies, E17, said, even though our midfield 3 didn't create much, we lost our shape and looked a bit more ragged when they all went off. Defence solid though, but we missed Theo and we need a goal scorer. Ruel never plays as well when he's starting as he does as an impact sub.
Yeah, good point. LDP King says it's not been good enough for over a month. No goals again, and we are getting slightly desperate, reverting back to players like Smith, Clay and the under-12 loan players. Is Wellens being fully backed as overall promotion is very much done, but surely you want to be champions and ready for League One. Interesting point there.
Harsh on the under-12s. Speno011 said a very even game. Defence did their job well. My only worry is we haven't got the cutting edge and are being neutralised too easily. We need 2 different options ASAP because we are in such an unbelievable position. We really don't want to regret not going for it like Hearn did in 13-14.
Yeah, interesting. Ian Hutchinson 08. It's a quite boring watch, but another point on the board. Stevenage drawing is a touch. Creating good chances is a worry. It's like we are scared to attack teams. Recruitment and players we bring in is going to be key now to see us over the line. Over to you, Richie. and Martin.
Billy Carroll, GB, said, good result given how bad the performance was. 1 goal in 5 games is very worrying. Our lack of quality up front has been clear to see for a while now. A prolific goal scorer is desperately needed as well as an attacking midfielder.
Apostolos Andre Nine. So once again, some nice passing and ball retention, but no major threats going forward. I'd like to see many more crosses whipped into the box to give the strikers something to feed off, because a bit of chaos in the opponent's defence, playing in front of them, is too easy to defend.
Yeah, Vince Howard, 73, said, fed up now with waiting for Moncur to get fit. Even actually waiting for him to do anything of worth. Also getting a bit concerned by the lack of chances being created and starting to look too predictable. Time to find a plan B to get us going again.
Yeah, Les OK52. So it was like every home game this season, but without a Smith goal to win the game. So much passing sideways, it takes us ages to mount an attack. We need an attacking midfielder to get us attacking. Someone of the Sean Thornton mould. A point is still a decent outcome though.
Yeah, El Hangel said, by my calculations, 23 points required from our remaining 20 games for promotion. That's mid-table form. Time to hold our nerve and get this over the line. Thompson was excellent today. I did see a stat about someone who'd put the average points needed over the last half a dozen or a dozen seasons, and it is something in like 80, 82, 83 points, something around that.
Yeah,
sort of
we've given
mark.
ourselves a great opportunity where we can be mid-table. I think Forest Green won very good at the back end of last season and still managed to do it and win the league. So hopefully we can do the same, but obviously do it in better style. Bert_Daddies. So I wouldn't put current form down to any individuals, but that we have become scared to put the ball in dangerous positions in case we lose precious possession. Early in the season, we took risks and pressed high if we lost the ball. I'd rather watch that and lose than more 0-0. It was an interesting stance there.
Yeah, Dave Brew, 47976911, said another point in the bag and another game gone. The team at the end was unrecognisable. We've now got a week to get people back to fitness. Adam Thompson was superb. Ed Turns did okay and Moncur was awful. And if people think that Harry Smith is the answer, then you're sadly wrong.
Yeah, John Crabtree said very poor, no cutting edge, losing patience with Rowan Kelman, and Moncur stealing a living. Defence very solid. Thompson very good.
E10_rifle said 1 goal in 5, creating very few chances. Missed Archibald big time. Clearly lacking some quality, especially up front. Have 100% faith in Wellens, but feel he's being let down by the LFC process.
Yeah, Molly Folly, 2019. So what I love about Richie is the honesty in his post-match interviews. No BS, tells it how it is. No excuses, doesn't take prisoners. His analysis of the game is always spot on, good or bad. He is a class. He knows exactly what's what. We are lucky to have him.
Conway_Nigel said, difficult day today, but let's take the point. One downer though. What the heck is going on with Moncur? Can't finish a game and looks like he's knackered all the time.
Yeah, Steve Chaplin forced a fair result against a decent Barrow side. Thompson deservedly man of the match, but shout out to Turns who grew into the game. Other results mainly went in our favour. On to Stevenage.
Yeah, Joe 9923166. It's a new one for me, so welcome Joe. Moncur growing incredibly frustrating week by week, has bags of ability and shows glimpses of being the creator we desperately need, but we just don't do it often or anywhere near enough. Clearly an issue with fitness too, halfway through the year, and he hasn't completed a 90 once.
I think a few people may have opposed that. I think saying he has done a 90, I don't know, but obviously there's a lot of tweets coming in about George. El Castaneto said, deja vu. How many times have we seen that game this season? Thompson great, but we really struggled to put the ball in the net when Smith or Theo aren't doing it. Luckily, we've got the points cushion, as we seem a bit lacklustre since the November break.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? Chris Coe 556807999 said, not anywhere near our best, but a point and another clean sheet are the positives, as was Adam Thompson's imperious performance. Potential long-term injuries to Drinan and Archibald are major concern, but if Richie gets 3 signings he wants, it's still looking good for promotion.
Barry Twin kept it short and sweet, another point closer to the League 2 title.
Yeah, Zillachum89, that's a brand new one for me. Welcome to you as well. The red card for Tom James was the only thing the ref got right in the second half. Could have had 2 penalties and a game to forget for the forwards, but another clean sheet with a player who arrived on Friday is very impressive, and that's a really good point.
It is a really good point. And the final word this week goes to Sunshine LFC, who said, still like that proper cutting edge in the final third. Smith not used anywhere near enough. That's Paul Smith. However, we're still in a great position, and I'm sure Richie Wellens knows exactly what we need.
So do you agree with any, or disagree? You don't have to be agreeable. Do agree or disagree with any of the tweets we've read out. Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at Orient Outlook or drop us an email, orientoutlook@outlook.com. We're also on Instagram. You can DM us there. We're Orient_Outlook_podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook. Just search Orient Outlook Podcast.
Absolutely. So moving on into the Town and Country Harlow Prediction League. So Town and Country Harlow estate agents, hopefully as you know, are run by 2 Orient season ticket holders and fans, and along with the podcast have helped dozens of people move home, and they offer all Orient fans and staff a discount from their already competitive fees. So if you're thinking of selling your property or just curious to its value, you can save yourself a few £100, keep it in your own family by giving them a call on 01279 883444 or alternatively 07528 471 497, or you can contact the guys on Twitter. They can be found at T&C Harlow, and so can Orient season ticket holder and director Charlie_Paul. And Town and Country don't just sell houses, they change lives.
Yeah, they absolutely do. So, well done to Ben D. Bollard, Julian Cabby 03, although you're a standard 0-0 every week, and our sponsor at Charlie_Paul, who all correctly predicted 0-0. So you get the maximum allocation of 3 points. That means the top of the prediction league currently stands. That to O's fan, no change at the top on 30 points. David Landau 17, still on 22 points. LOFC_Dan and O's fan Basing are on 20 points, and Ben Whitlock 13 and Wings Mad are just behind on 19 points. So thanks to everyone for your predictions.
So let's move on into today's Super Sunday, the 15th of January. The ladies were in Capital Cup action. They were playing Tooting Beck. They lost the game 1-0, so we say unlucky to the ladies team. So 1 hour, 6 minutes, 23 seconds. Let's wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah, with fancy football as always. James Denman is top of the Orient Outlook Podcast Fantasy Football League. He's on 1,235 points, everybody. He's just ahead of Lewis Fear, who's in second, and he's just 11 points behind. Steve's dropped 4 places to 204th out of 355 players. Good luck.
Yeah, certainly have. So positives and negatives of the week. We've got 4 positives and 4 negatives, so we're going to even it out. Want me to do positives?
Go for it.
All right, okay. First of all, signed someone. So we signed Ed Turns. Did alright on Saturday, not too bad. Good young prospects. He's in the building. Second positive is we gained a point. Didn't lose the game, gained a point, as a Barry twin said. Another point towards the title. Thirdly, clean sheet. I didn't even realise it was 8 clean sheets consecutively at home. Amazing stats. Team breaking records. And as lastly, which will always be a positive as long as we're there, we are top of the league. So
absolutely
not bad. So negatives, Mr. Levy?
Yeah, lack of signings. Obviously, we've spoken about Ed, who's joined us. Welcome. The injury list is getting bigger, unfortunately. Tom James, obviously, he's got 2 yellows, and that obviously consequently means he misses the next game following his red card. And obviously, we haven't scored or won the game again, so the lack of goals is a huge concern.
Absolutely. So Town and Country also sponsor our Hero of the Week. We didn't take this one to Twitter this week, but I think we were quite agreed. Unanimous on decision. So ladies and gentlemen, this week's Town and Country Harlow Hero of the Week is Adam Thompson. So well done, Adam. Well deserved. Just missed out last week to Jordan Brown, who put a great performance, but takes it deservedly this week. So next week, only one fixture for the O's. It's the hottest ticket this side of East London, and it's a biggie. We go to Stevenage, who are second in the table, 5 points behind us in League Two. They drew 1 away at Harrogate yesterday. Their last 6, they've won 3, they've drawn 3, they're unbeaten. Obviously beat Villa in the FA Cup last weekend. Hopefully their 4th round cup game might be playing on their minds a little bit.
Hope so.
The week after, we play them. If you go in, have a safe journey, make loads of noise. All right, let's do this. Team for Stevenage in. Let's see if we have the same, because there's a lot of decisions to be made here.
I'll do it with my fan. But I would go with Brown at right back, Hunt at left back, Turns and Thompson.
Yeah, I would agree. Midfield.
It's going to be Monker, Pratley, El Mazouni.
Yeah.
And then you're going to probably have Ruel. I don't see it changing. Ruel, Kelman and Smith.
Hopefully there'll be 2 or 3 new players that we can pick from, hopefully. But I'd say at the moment, as it stands,
it'll be copy and paste.
Yeah.
For me. Barring Brown.
I think you're right. I think I'd be tempted at half time against Stevenage if it's 0-0 or we're not creating much, maybe to switch the formation around. potentially.
That's not the fault. You asked me what I think we'll play. That's not what I would play.
Yeah. What would you play then?
I would go 4-4-2.
Okay.
Especially against Stevenage.
And who would you have your midfield in?
I would have Idris and Darren Pratley in the mid two.
Yeah.
I would have Paul Smith on one wing. You can't obviously have Duke McKenna now because he's injured.
Yeah.
That was my thinking. Moncur probably on the other wing, although he's not a winger.
He's not a winger.
But then it's a square peg in a round hole, so that doesn't quite work.
You could say the winger we're hopefully signing this week. You put in.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
But then I'd have Ruel and Kelman up top.
Yeah, and Krumah.
Or maybe we have a lopsided midfield like Russell Slade used to do. We have 4-3-1-2, and we have the 3, and then we have Moncur playing behind Kelman and Sotirio. Smith to come on, or Smith and Sotirio.
I think it's a difficult question, isn't it? Because obviously they're going to bring players in, so maybe it's a question that we haven't got all the answers to because we don't have all the facilities around us. Let us know who you think will line up next week. It'll be very interesting about that. So if you're going, have a very safe journey. Make loads of noise. It will be very interesting game. So before we bow out this one, don't forget to get in touch with John and a fantastic team of experienced florists at Carroll Langley. You can call them on 0208 529 4130. You can get in contact via social media. You can find them on Twitter, Carroll Langley or Essex Biz, Instagram at Carroll Langley Florist, and on Facebook at Carroll Langley Florist.
So that is it. That really is it. Thank you very much indeed for joining us for episode 306. We have finally made our first signing of this January transfer window as we welcome Ed Turns to E10, and he went straight into the side against Barrow. But with our injury and suspension list growing and together with our lack of goals, we urgently need reinforcements. So our fingers are crossed that we will see some new blood brought into the club this week. And the games don't get any easier. The next week we face second place Stevenage away. So let's hope Richie Wellens has the signing he needs in time. And this time next week we're talking about a win for the O's and hopefully being 8 points clear at the top of League 2.
If we win next Saturday, it's all rosy. 8 points clear League 2. It'll be a completely different slant on it. So let's hopefully have that one happen. So if you're listening on iTunes, please subscribe, give the podcast a 5-star rating. We are on 103 reviews on iTunes, not had one in ages. So if you're listening on iTunes, pull your finger out and review us. We get a lot more than 103 plays on iTunes. You can also rate the show on Spotify. We have 64 5-star reviews on Spotify. That's lovely, but let's see if we can get to 70 by this time next week. And if you're listening on SoundCloud, tune in, Stitcher, add us to your favourites, and that way you'll have all the podcasts available as soon as they're uploaded. You can also find the podcast on FanHub and do your team lineup on FanHub. So listening to the podcast has got even easier. And if you have an older relative, a loved one, an Orient chum who you think will like the podcast, or if you're making that journey to Stevenage, grab people's phones, get this on via their Bluetooth speakers in their cars and get it on for your journeys. And don't forget to pass the pod. We're back. 307
episodes in. That's next week.
Yeah.
Straight after Stevenage, next Sunday night. We'll have all the information, the match review, all the views that you could ever need, and we look forward to hearing from you. And as always, keep calm, stay safe, have a great week, keep the faith, and listen to the Orient Outlook podcast.
Up the O's!
I gotta have